take a look at the phone in your hand right now, or I guess the computer you're listening to this on.
Right, whatever screen is in front of you.
Yeah. You probably think of it as a tool, you know? Like a piece of hardware you pick up to do a job, check the weather, send a text, and then you just put it down when you're done.
A wrench or a hammer.
Exactly. But what if that completely misses the reality of our current moment? Like, what if you don't actually use this technology anymore? What if you live inside of it?
I mean, it's a fundamental shift in how we exist.
Yeah.
We tend to think of ourselves as a nation of people consuming media,
Right.
but the reality is that we've morphed into a social media civilization. We are quite literally living within its architecture.
And that profound metamorphosis is exactly what we are unpacking today. So welcome to The Deep Dive. I'm your host.
And I'm your resident expert.
And today we are jumping into a groundbreaking new book, America at 250, The Social Media Civilization by Prof. Dr. Milton Biswas. Our mission here is to really understand the mechanics of how platforms like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, how they went from being these simple kind of quirky websites.
Just little novelties, really.
Yeah, to the foundational architects of your daily life, your politics, and honestly, even your own identity.
Yeah, and to really grasp the magnitude of how we got here, we kind of have to establish a historical baseline first.
Let's do it.
So if you look back over the last century, media was strictly a one-way street.
Okay.
Think of the printed penny presses in the 19th century, or sitting around the radio listening to FDR's fireside chats.
Oh, right, yeah.
Or even the massive centralized visual spectacles of broadcast TV during the JFK era. In all those scenarios, you had a very small group of gatekeepers broadcasting a singular message to a massive, mostly passive audience.
Like media was an event. It was something handed down to you.
Exactly. You consumed it.
You just sat on the couch, you absorbed it, and that was the end of the transaction.
Right. But today, we live in a decentralized platform society. Those old boundaries, they've completely dissolved.
We're just gone.
Totally gone.
Yeah.
When you log on to one of these platforms today, you are occupying 3 roles simultaneously.
3 roles.
Yeah. You are the consumer of the content, you are the producer of the content, and ultimately, your attention is the product being sold.
Wow. It's just a massive evolution. And I think to understand the mechanics of how we built this social media civilization, we have to look at how we managed to digitize human connection itself.
Right.
Which means we got to go back to a Harvard dorm room in 2004.
The origins of Facebook.
Yeah.
I mean, it started as a very literal, closed college directory.
It's just a digital yearbook, basically.
Yeah, exactly. It was just a way to map physical, already existing campus relationships onto a digital interface. But it rapidly scaled into a global infrastructure. And the true turning point, the mechanical shift that really redefined our social fabric, happened a few years later, in 2009.
Right, the invention of the like button.
Yes. That little thumbs up fundamentally altered human interaction.
It seems so simple, though.
It does, but it's essentially emotional engineering. Because before 2009, social approval in the real world was incredibly messy.
Right, it's nuanced.
Highly nuanced. It was contextual. It was a smile across a room, a nod of agreement during a meeting, a long conversation over coffee.
Yeah.
The like button took all that complex, invisible reality of human friendship and reduced it into a quantifiable, zero-sum token.
Okay, let's unpack this. It's as if Facebook took the subtle, invisible web of human affection and turned it into a video game high score.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Like where we are all suddenly walking around, constantly competing for digital applause. There's a literal scoreboard attached to everything we say or do.
And that scoreboard mentality, it wasn't just a quirky new feature. It was the birth of what Shoshana Zuboff calls surveillance capitalism.
Surveillance capitalism.
Right. The platform wasn't just giving you a fun button to press. They were harvesting every single click, every scroll, every digital thumbs up.
Just vacuuming it all up?
Exactly. They take those quantifiable tokens of emotion and convert them into raw data to build these highly accurate, predictive models of your behavior.
So by gamifying friendship, they get us to willingly generate the raw material that powers their entire advertising empire.
Precisely.
We start chasing the high score, and they collect the data.
What's fascinating here is that this feedback loop didn't just change the architecture of the internet. It fundamentally changed human psychology.
How so?
Well, it created a deeply performative culture.
Yeah.
You are no longer just living your life. You are actively curating your identity for an audience.
Right.
And the craziest part, in the nature of that audience. Sociologists and psychologists call it context collapse.
Context collapse. I love this concept from the book, but it's also honestly terrifying.
It is?
It's basically the idea that in the real world, you act differently depending on who you are with, right?
Exactly. You have a specific persona for your grandmother,
Right.
a different one for your boss, and a completely different one for your best friend at a dive bar.
Yeah, hopefully.
Right. But on social media, those separate spheres of your life are collapsed into one single feed.
It's like throwing a dinner party where your boss, your ex-partner, your grandmother, and a complete stranger are all sitting at the exact same table.
And you have to entertain all of them.
Yes. You have to tell a single joke that pleases all of them simultaneously. It's exhausting. You're performing for everyone at once.
And because you are performing for everyone at once, you tend to smooth out all your rough edges. You create this flattened, highly curated, inoffensive version of yourself.
So Facebook turns our personal relationships into this quantifiable, flattened game.
Yeah.
But what happens when you apply that exact same scoreboard where the most dramatic action gets the highest score to our elections and our civic life?
Well, that brings us to Twitter, or X as it's known today.
Right.
If Facebook gamified friendship, Twitter took our political and civic discourse and put it on a hyper-accelerated treadmill.
Just sped everything up.
Massively. And it did this through one very specific mechanical constraint, which was brevity.
The character limit.
Right. Originally, you only had 140 characters, and later 280.
And when you only have 280 characters, nuance is practically mathematically impossible.
It really is.
You can't write a thoughtful essay weighing both sides of an issue in a tweet.
You can't. That strict character limit fundamentally forces performativity. Without the space to build a complex argument, users have to rely on bold, extreme, and immediate statements just to be heard over the noise.
Yeah.
And it completely dismantled traditional journalistic gatekeeping because it rewarded speed and impact over thoroughness.
But wait, let me push back on that a bit.
Right.
I get that forcing brevity kills nuance, but isn't removing the traditional gatekeepers ultimately a win for everyday people?
In what sense?
I mean, it democratizes the conversation, right? If there's a local protest, citizens don't have to wait for a network news anchor to deem it worthy of coverage. They just post it, and the world sees it.
It certainly democratizes access to the microphone, I'll give you that. Anyone can speak.
Right.
But here is the critical shift. While the human gatekeeper is gone, the algorithm becomes the new gatekeeper.
Oh.
And the algorithm doesn't care about truth, and it certainly doesn't care about nuance.
Yeah.
It privileges emotionally charged, polarizing content.
Because outrage is highly engaging.
Yes. Outrage triggers a visceral reaction. It makes you type a furious reply. It makes you hit retweet to show your followers how angry you are.
And that keeps you glued to the screen.
Exactly. An outraged user stays on the platform much longer, which means they generate more data and they see more advertisements.
And we've seen this dual nature play out on a global scale. I mean, the sheer speed of the platform empowered massive grassroots movements. Like during the Arab Spring, citizens used the mechanics of the hashtag, like hashtag Jan25, to completely bypass state media censorship.
Right. They were organizing on the ground.
Yeah, organizing protests on the ground and broadcasting their reality directly to the globe in real time, which is incredible.
Oh, it is. But the very same unmediated direct-to-audience mechanics made it a highly effective tool for setting the daily political agenda during Donald Trump's presidency.
Oh, totally.
By bypassing the press corps entirely, he could use direct, unfiltered communication to just dominate the news cycle.
Just tweet and dictate the headlines for the next 24 hours.
Exactly. And we also see this in the mechanics of cancel culture.
Ah, yeah.
It functions as a rapid mechanism for social accountability. But because it relies on that 280-character brevity we talked about, context is frequently stripped away entirely.
Right, there's no room for the full story.
So it turns into a form of digital mob justice.
Yeah.
It's incredibly fast, but incredibly blunt.
And the platform's mechanics are still shifting. Like with Elon Musk's acquisition and the rebranding to X, there's this big push toward creating an everything app.
Right.
Guided by this philosophy of free speech absolutism. It feels like an ongoing real-time experiment in what happens when you try to balance completely unhindered discourse against the rapid spread of unverified information.
Which, again, all comes back to the algorithm. When anyone can speak, the entity that decides who actually gets heard is the code prioritizing engagement.
That makes total sense. So we've been talking about how these platforms rewired our civic life and the way we argue. But there's another layer to this metamorphosis in Dr. Biswas's book.
Yes, there is.
It's not just about how we see the news, it's about how we see ourselves in the mirror.
And that marks the shift to Instagram.
Yeah.
Instagram moved us away from text-based argument and into a purely visual economy.
Right, it's all about the image.
Entirely. It's an infrastructure dedicated completely to the aesthetic curation of identity.
And they gave us really powerful tools to do that curation. I mean, the filters, the augmented reality lenses.
Everything.
They really did. They created an entirely new set of digital beauty standards. We've collectively normalized the sanitized, perfectly symmetrical, entirely artificial version of physical perfection.
It's pervasive.
It is. But it's not just faces, right? It's everything.
It is the commercialization of the mundane. Before this visual economy, a morning yoga session in your living room or a plate of avocado toast or just, I don't know, reading a book on a Sunday?
Yeah, just normal stuff.
These are private, fleeting moments. Now, they are styled, lit, and broadcast. Your everyday life becomes a curated lifestyle brand meant to be consumed by your followers.
Here's where it gets really interesting for me. I was thinking about this while prepping for today's deep dive. You, me, everyone listening, we are all essentially unpaid interns for Instagram.
Unpaid interns.
Yeah. We are the camera crew, the lighting directors, the talent, and the makeup artists. We are producing daily reality TV shows out of our own lives for free. And the platform just sits back and sells the commercial breaks.
That is a brilliant way to frame it. You are providing the free labor that fuels the attention economy.
The attention economy.
Right. In this digital civilization, your finite cognitive bandwidth, the actual hours in your day that you can pay attention to something, is the most scarce and valuable commodity on earth.
Wow.
These platforms are locked in a relentless, multi-billion-dollar arms race just to capture your visual attention.
And there is a massive psychological toll to participating in this visual economy. I mean, psychologists talk a lot about comparison culture.
Yes, it's a huge issue.
Let's break down the mechanics of why it makes us so miserable. As a listener scrolling through a feed, you are constantly benchmarking your own unfiltered, messy, behind-the-scenes reality against someone else's heavily edited highlight reel.
And your brain struggles to differentiate between a curated image and reality.
Even if you know it's fake.
Even if you rationally know a photo is filtered and staged, your brain processes the visual input as a social standard you are failing to meet.
Oh, man.
This mechanism of constant upward social comparison is heavily linked to driving anxiety, depression, and severe body dysmorphia, especially among younger users whose identities are still forming.
Because you are constantly comparing your everyday life to a digital mirage.
Exactly.
Now, this performance of everyday life didn't stop with static photos. It set the stage for what happened with video, where platforms like YouTube and TikTok essentially overthrew Hollywood's century-long monopoly on fame.
The rise of the creator economy.
Yeah.
For 100 years, traditional Hollywood relied on distance and mystique to create stars. Movie stars were untouchable. They lived in a different universe.
Yeah, right. You didn't know what they ate for breakfast.
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
But the creator economy flips that entirely. It relies on extreme intimacy.
Like early vloggers. You had Casey Neistat and Jenna Marbles, or edutainment channels like Crash Course and Kurzgesagt.
Right.
They didn't build these massive global audiences of millions of people through professional studio polish. They built them through relatability.
Yeah, they were sitting in their bedrooms talking directly to a camera lens.
And then TikTok accelerated this dynamic to light speed with its For You page algorithm.
Oh, TikTok completely changed the game.
It democratized fame in a way we had never seen by completely changing the mechanics of distribution.
Right, because on older platforms, your reach was dictated by your follower count.
Yeah, if you had no followers, no one saw your posts.
Exactly. But TikTok's algorithm prioritizes individual content engagement over existing networks.
Meaning you could download the app today, have exactly 0 followers, post a 15-second video from your kitchen, and if the algorithm detects that the first 10 people who see it watch it all the way through, it pushes it to 1,000, then 1,000,000.
You become an overnight micro-celebrity.
It's wild.
It is. But maintaining that micro-celebrity status relies on a psychological phenomenon known as parasocial relationships.
Parasocial relationship.
Yeah. These are one-sided emotional bonds.
Okay.
You, the viewer, spend hours watching an influencer. You feel intimately connected to them. You know their dog's name, their morning routine, their relationship struggles. You genuinely feel like they are your friend.
Right.
But they don't know you exist.
Which brings up a dynamic I really struggle with, and the book touches on this. If these creators are essentially their own corporate brands, like they run their own marketing, they sell their own merchandise, they secure brand sponsorships.
Yeah, they're businesses.
Right. So are they really offering authentic friendship to their audience, or is that feeling of intimacy simply the product they are manufacturing and selling?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, that is the central, exhausting paradox of digital entrepreneurship.
How so?
Creators are trapped in a precarious cycle. They have to continuously perform their authenticity in order to monetize their audience's trust.
Oh, wow.
But because the algorithm demands constant, never-ending content to maintain relevance, they can't ever turn the camera off.
So they become prisoners of their own digital personas. Like if they change or just want privacy, they lose their livelihood.
Exactly. Which frequently leads to severe burnout and identity fragmentation.
It sounds so stressful.
It is. But that relentless algorithmic demand for engagement, for keeping eyes on the screen at all costs, leads us to the darkest mechanics of this ecosystem.
Right. Because if the algorithms are fundamentally designed to hook our attention with whatever gets the biggest, most visceral reaction, I mean, what happens when the content isn't just a curated yoga session? What happens when it's entirely fabricated or deeply distressing?
This is where we confront the physical mechanics of phenomena like doom scrolling.
Oh, let's really dig into doom scrolling. Everyone listening has done it.
Oh, absolutely.
It's 2 a.m., the news is terrible, you are stressed out, and yet you physically cannot put the phone down. Why?
It comes down to a behavioral psychology concept called intermittent variable rewards.
Intermittent variable rewards.
Right. Think about how a slot machine works in a casino. You pull the lever, and most of the time you get nothing. But occasionally, unpredictably, you get a payout.
Yeah.
That unpredictability causes a massive spike of dopamine in the brain. Your social media feed functions exactly like a slot machine in your pocket.
So when I pull my phone out of my pocket, it's not because I actively want to read the news. It's a physical tick. I'm just pulling the lever to see if the cherry's lined up.
Exactly. Every time you refresh the feed, you don't know what you're going to get.
Right.
It might be a funny video of a dog. It might be a horrific news story about a natural disaster. Or it might be a red notification bubble telling you someone liked your photo.
A total mixed bag.
Your brain gets hijacked by that unpredictability, keeping you mechanically hooked, even when the actual content is making you miserable.
And mixed in with all that distress is internet meme culture.
Oh, yeah.
Memes act as these rapid vectors for cultural transmission. They take incredibly complex geopolitical or social ideas and condense them into quick, viral visual hits. It's highly entertaining, but it severely truncates our attention spans. We lose the patience for context.
And a truncated attention span makes a population incredibly vulnerable to manipulation.
How does that work in practice?
Well, when people are scrolling rapidly, looking for the next dopamine hit, they don't stop to verify facts. This is how these platforms were weaponized through election misinformation.
Like the 2016 Russian interference campaigns.
Exactly. Bad actors studied the mechanics of the platforms and realized they could easily exploit the algorithm's preference for polarizing, emotionally triggering content to artificially sow discord.
Just amplify the societal fractures that are already there.
Precisely.
And the technology used to manufacture that content is evolving terrifyingly fast. We are now dealing with the rise of deepfakes, which are fueled by GANs, generative adversarial networks.
GANs are fascinating and highly disruptive AI systems. Without getting too deep into the coding weeds, imagine two AI programs battling each other.
Okay, an AI battle.
Yeah. One tries to create a fake image of a human face, and the other tries to detect that it's fake.
Ah.
They challenge each other millions of times until the fake image is so perfect that it's mathematically indistinguishable from a real photograph.
That's insane.
They can learn and imitate the exact nuances of human speech and facial microexpressions to create hyper-realistic, entirely synthetic videos.
So what does this all mean? We used to have a fundamental baseline in society, seeing is believing.
Right.
If you saw a video of someone saying something, that was proof. It was the foundation of human trust.
Yes.
But now, if an AI can generate a hyper-realistic video of a politician or your boss or your neighbor saying something they never actually said, that foundational rule is just gone. The proof is no longer proof.
This raises an important question, perhaps the most critical challenge of our digital era. How can a democratic society function if its citizens no longer share a baseline of objective reality?
Wow.
Democracy requires debate, but debate requires a shared set of facts. If we cannot agree on what is real and what is a synthetic hallucination engineered to make us angry, The deliberative process simply collapses.
It is a genuinely chilling thought, and it really shows just how far we've come. I mean, we have been on an incredible journey today.
We really have.
Just stepping back and looking at the scope of this deep dive, we've traced how a simple piece of code, originally designed just to digitize college friendships in a dorm room, morphed and evolved.
It grew up.
It grew into an inescapable, all-encompassing civilization that now dictates our political discourse, our commerce, our attention, and our own self-worth.
It is undeniably the defining metamorphosis of our age. But the most crucial takeaway from Biswas's book is that this evolution is far from over.
What's next?
As artificial intelligence becomes more deeply integrated into the architecture of these platforms, we aren't just looking at the rise of synthetic media and deepfakes.
Right.
We are looking at the dawn of synthetic relationships.
Wow. Let that sink in for a moment. You know, we started this conversation by asking you to look at your phone and imagine the United States as a living organism undergoing a profound metamorphosis.
Yeah.
Think about where that organism is heading next. In a world where parasocial relationships with human influencers are already replacing real-world community for so many people.
It's already happening.
Yeah. What happens when your most attentive, validating, perfect friend on social media isn't a human at all? What if it's a perfectly tailored AI companion designed just to keep you engaged? How will that redefine what it means to be human in our digital future?
It's a huge question.
It really is. Something for you to think about the next time you reach into your pocket to pull the lever.